Good day everyone. My topic this afternoon was all about developing relationships with people from different cultures. Developing relationship with people from different cultures is a deeply enriching experiences that not only broadens your perspective but also enhances your personal growth. It fosters mutual respect, understanding, and meaningful communication that key to building a more inclusive and harmonious world. Number one is curiosity and open-mindedness. So to build meaningful relationship with people from different cultures, it is essential to approach them with curiosity and an open mind. So this means being genuinely interested in their way of life and their experiences. So asking questions and being willing to learn about their cultures fosters deeper connections. So rather than making assumptions based on stereotypes, it is important to understand that each culture represents their own set of values, traditions, and beliefs which may differ from your own. We have here key practices that embrace curiosity and open-mindedness. First is be curious or not judgmental. So like for example, ask questions that invite people to share their stories, show interest in their culture without judgment or comparison. Next practices is avoid stereotyping. So avoid stereotyping because every individual is unique. So avoid generalizing or assuming that everyone from a particular culture behaves in the same way. Another practice is celebrate differences. Recognize that cultural differences are not inherently better or worse. They are simply different. This perspective helps you to be accepting and appreciative of diversity. Number two is active listening and respectful communication. Because active communication is fundamental in any relationship. But when it comes to cross-cultural interactions, being an active listener becomes even more important. Paying attention not only to what is being said, but also how it is being said. So that verbal cues such as body language, tone of voice, and eye contact may vary from one culture to another. So it is essential to be aware of these differences. We have key practices. So pay attention to non-verbal cues. So in many cultures, non-verbal communication plays a significant role. So look for body language, gestures, and facial expressions and eye contact which can convey meaning beyond words. Next one is adapt your communication styles. Be mindful of how direct or indirect your communication might be. So some cultures value differences while others may appreciate a more subtle or indirect approach. Third one is allow for space. Because be mindful of the amount of personal space people prefer. This can vary widely across cultures and is important to respect. The fourth one is be an active listener. Avoid interrupting or rushing to offer your own opinion or give the other person the opportunity to express themselves fully. The third one is cultural sensitivity and awareness. Because cultural sensitivity is the ability to understand, respect, and appreciate differences in cultural norms and practices. Misunderstanding can occur when we are unaware of how actions or words may be interpreted differently across cultures. Or being culturally sensitive involves recognizing these differences and adapting your behavior accordingly. We have key practices to have a cultural sensitivity and awareness. So first is recognize potential misunderstanding. For example is certain gestures or words may be acceptable in one another or one culture but offensive in another. So it is important to know about this nuances to avoid an intentional offense. Next one is respect cultural norms and traditions. So this could include recognizing dress codes, celebrating holidays, or understanding religious practices. These are significant to individuals and showing respect for them that fosters goodwill. Third one is avoid making assumptions. So because cultural stereotypes can be damaging, so try not to make assumptions about people based on where they come from, because each individual's experiences of their culture is unique. Building trust and empathy. Trust and empathy are the cornerstone of any meaningful relationships, and they are particularly important when navigating cultural differences. Or building trust with someone from a different culture requires time, patience, and a sincere interest to understanding their worldview. Our key practices are show genuine interest or engage in conversation that focus on the other person's experiences, either challenges or aspirations. So show empathy by validating their feelings and experiences. Next one is practice empathy, of course. So try to see the world from their perspective. This will help you better understand their actions, thoughts, and motivations, especially when they differ from your own. The next one is be patient. So trust takes time to build, particularly when cultural differences are involved. Allow the relationship to develop gradually and don't rush the process. Last one is be open about your experiences. So building mutual trust means sharing your own cultural background as well. It helps the other person understand you better and creates a sense of reciprocity. Number 5 is continuous learning and growth. So cross-cultural relationships are an opportunity for personal growth. So the more you learn about other cultures, the more you will understand yourself and your own cultural biases. So being open to learning and reflecting as your own assumptions can help you evolve into a more empathetic and culturally competent individual. Our key practices here is seek learning opportunities to have continuous learning and growth. Because learning opportunities take part in activities that allow you to engage with other cultures, whether through travel, reading, or attending cultural events, or watching documentaries. Because the more exposure you have, or the more exposure you have, the more you will understand cultural differences. Another one is embrace growth. What is embrace growth? Or you can see every interaction with people from different cultures as an opportunity for learning. So the more you step outside of your comfort zone, the more you can grow as a person. Actually, developing relationship with people from different cultures can be a deeply rewarding experiences, but it requires commitment, patience, and an openness to learning. By embracing curiosity and open-mindedness, active listening and respectful communication, cultural sensitivity and awareness, building trust and empathy, as well as continuous learning and growth, can build meaningful and respectful relationships that enrich your life and contribute to a more inclusive world. These relationships provide not only a deeper understanding of others, but also an opportunity for personal transformation and growth.
So this is a continuation of our topic. So my topic is all about the dimension and characteristic of human relationship. Human relationships are complex and multifaceted, involving the various dimensions and characteristics that influence in how individuals connect and communication and interact with others. So we have the 7 dimensions of human relationship. First is the emotional dimension. So involve feelings and affections, care and love for the emotional and spend time together and bond. So in emotional dimensions is involving feelings, care, love, and to make a form of emotional bonds. So the second one is the social dimension. So social dimension is the way people communicate each other and spend time together. So the next one is the cognitive dimension. Is knowing and respecting each other, our thoughts and our opinions and perspective. So the fourth one is the behavioral dimensions and how individuals behave towards each other and including the acts of kindness. So the fifth one is the culture dimensions. So relationships are shaped by the culture, norms, and traditions and expectations. So the next one is the power of authority. So some of our relationships are based on equal standing and while others may have the power imbalance. So in our relationship, having a base on equal and standing our feet and others may be have and the power imbalances. So the next one is the temporal dimensions. Is a relationship may be long-term or a friendship, a family or a shared team is a professional or casual acquaintance. So in this temporal dimensions is a build of relationship, maybe a long-term and build of a friendship, a family and be a professional and acquaintances. So the next topic was all about the characteristic of human relationship. So first is a mutual respect. So a healthy relationship values both a party's opinions and boundaries and individuality. So in a mutual respect is having a healthy relationship and values of each one of us and giving the opinions and boundary of individuality. So that's the second one is the effective communications. So effective communication is open and honest and respectful, and our dialogue is essential for understanding and resolving our issues. So the next one is the interdependence. So having a healthy relationship, also the balance and independence is contributing of our bond. So the next one is the conflict management. So every relationship experiences disagreements, but the ability is to handle our conflict and instructivity is our vital. So the next one is the flexibility, our willingness to adapt and accommodate our changes or the challenges in our life, the strengthness in our relationship of them. The sixth one is the shared experiences. So spending the quality time together and building memories, relationship and to enhance our emotional bonds. So the next one is the authenticity. So being a genuine, be honest and create and trust and make the relationship more meaningful.
So good afternoon everyone. So here are the next topic, which is stages of human relationship development. So first is initiation or acquaintance. So when you say initiation, this is the stage where two individuals meet and form their first impression of each other. So people typically judge each other based on appearance, communication style, or shared context. Like for example, a meeting, party, or workplace. So conversation at this stage are light and focused on common topic like hobbies or mutual acquaintances. So like for example, I'm meeting someone at a networking event and exchanging names, profession, and so on. So more example is introducing yourself to a new colleague on the first day of work. So next is number 2, which is experimentation or exploration. So this stage involves getting to know each other on a deeper level, exploring shared interests, and testing compatibility. So when we say experimentation, conversations go beyond superficial topics. People start to share personal details like values, goals, or habits. Trust begins to form, but the relationship is still tentative. So like for example, two classmates discover they both enjoy hiking and decide to plan a weekend trip together. So next is intensifying. So when we say intensifying, the relationship depends with greater emotional intimacy and reliance on one another. So intensifying as this stage, individuals open up about their vulnerabilities, dreams, or fears. So they spend together increases and mutual dependency. So in romantic relationship, this stage might involve expressing love unexpectedly. So, like for example, friends start sharing personal struggles and learning on each other for support. Or, more example is a romantic partner expresses their feelings for the first time or introduces their significant other to close family members. So, next is number 4, which is integration. So, when you say integration, the relationship becomes stable and well-defined with mutual understanding and shared goals. So when you say integration, individuals begin to integrate their lives, collaborating on plans or projects. Communication becomes natural and both parties clearly understand the relationship dynamics and expectations. Like for example, the friends become inseparable and involve each other in every major decision. Or more example is romantic partners move in together or share finances. So next is the bonding or the commitment. So when you say bonding, the relationship solidifies with a formal commitment or declaration of its importance. So bonding, so this stage often involves a public acknowledgement of the relationship. It signifies a long-term trust, loyalty, and interdependence. Like for example, a marriage or a public celebration of partnership. Or more example is a friendship anniversary when both friends express gratitude for their bond. So next is differentiation. So individuals assert their unique identities which may lead to conflict or differences. So differentiation, while the relationship remains important, people begin to focus their own needs, interests, or goals. So this is a natural stage of growth that, if handled constructively, can strengthen the bond. So like for example, friends begin pursuing separate habits but still maintain their connections. Or more example is romantic partners argue over different opinions but resolve conflict through compromise. So next is the conflict or repair. So this stage involves addressing and resolving disagreements or misunderstanding to rebuild trust. So tension may arise due to unmet expectation or miscommunication. How individuals handle these conflicts determine whether the relationship strengthens or weakens. So like for example, friends have a falling out over a misunderstanding but eventually talk through and reconcile. So number 8 is stagnation. So when you say stagnation, the relationship becomes dull with minimal growth or emotional connections. So interaction becomes routine and unfulfilling. Both parties may feel stuck and question the relationship future. So like for example, long-time friends rarely speak or spend time together but maintain the relationship out of habit. So last is the termination. So the relationship ends due to mutual agreement, external factors, or unresolved conflict. So this stage may involve grief, reflection, or closure. It can be a natural progression or result from irreconcilable differences. So like for example, friends drift apart after moving to different cities and losing touch. So more example is a romantic couple decide to separate after realizing they have incompatible life goals. So that's the stages of human relationship development.
Continue about culture and human relationship development. Culture and human relationship development refers to deep relationship between culture and human development. Culture is a costume, beliefs, arts, and way of life of group of people. Human development refers to improving the quality of life of people in society, such as having education, health, economic opportunities. Cultural norms and expectations. Cultural norms define how relationships are formed and maintained, shaping expectations based on societal values and tradition. In individual culture, example in US and in Western Europe, relationships often prioritize personal freedom, independence, and self-expression. Individual focus on personal goals, seek relationships that align with these. For example, in individualistic culture, a young adult in US may choose the romantic partner based solely on personal preference without much input from family. Communication style. Communication style culture differ in how they express themselves, whether through direct verbal communication or indirect cause like body language and context. Low context culture, example in US, German, prefer clear, straightforward communication, leaving a little room for ambiguity. For example, an American colleague says, "I need this report by 5 p.m. today," leaving no room for interpretation. Number 3, approach to relationship building. Culture influence how formal or casual initial interactions and how quickly trust is established in a relationship. Some cultures, like Japan or South Korea, place high importance on formal introduction to show respect and build credibility. For example, in Asian culture, intriguing business cards and using honorifics during introduction is common. Number 4, role of family and community. In many cultures, family and community play a pivotal role in forming and sustaining relationship. Family-centered relationship in collectivist culture, family approval and involvement are often centered to decision about friendship, marriage, or partnership. For example, in China, a romantic relationship may require the approval of the parents before progressing to marriage. Number 5, conflict resolution. Culture vary in how they address disagreement, ranging from direct confrontation to avoidance and compromise. In Western culture, many encourages open discussion to resolve conflict, while in many Asian cultures prioritize harmony and might avoid direct confrontation. For example, in Western culture, a disagreement of work might lead to a formal meeting to address and resolve issues. Number 6, influence or tradition and rituals. Cultural tradition and rituals private framework for building and solidifying relationships. And rituals such as a wedding, festivals, and shared celebration reinforce bonds and establish a sense of belonging, depending on cultural norms. For example, in Japan, gift-giving is a common during business meeting to show respect and strengthening partnership. Number 7, gender roles in a relationship. Cultural beliefs about gender roles influence interaction and expectation and the formation of relationship. In high-power distance culture, for example in India and Mexico, respect to authority and seniority is emphasized in relationship often follow hierarchical structure. For example, in India, employees may address their boss with a formal titles and defer to their decisions. Globalization and cultural shift. Globalization is blending of cultural norms and creating opportunities for cross-cultural interactions. In more traditional cultures, gender role as well as the defined interaction between men and women may be restricted. For example, in Middle Eastern culture, men and women may avoid a casual friendship due to cultural or religious norms.